listen on the Sactown Sports app.
Oh, yeah, we've been having a lot of fun today on this Friday. Thanks for being with us. Rod Brooks was at his very best today. We always appreciate his time. But now the weekend really starts, Jay, because it's time for all-time Kings icon.
Yes, sir.
Nobody like him. Never has been, never will be. The one and only Jerry Reynolds. How are you today, Coach?
You know, I'm pretty good. I'm a little hurt, though. I heard Jay taking some shots at my Chiefs, you know, and I do kind of want to warn you. There's clearly Jay has a chance to go to the dark side, and so you want to be wary. There's of all his good qualities. There's clearly a few flaws there.
Yeah, it was kind of wild, wasn't it? Just kind of out of nowhere, and he just started taking those shots at you and your team.
Yeah. I mean, no question, it was personal. I mean,
I'm hurt.
Yeah, and so, but you know, we'll trudge on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hurt, legend. I'm hurt, man. You guys put a dent into my my psyche over the last few years, man. Taking those Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I'm in your head.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask you about the Kings, and I'm going to try to start with something on the positive side, Coach, which you know is not necessarily the easiest thing to do right now, but what do you think of the way Maxime Reynolds is coming along?
I really like him. You know, obviously great to see him get more minutes. I really think Doug's done a nice job there, and you know, he's highly, you know, he's got skill, you know, which I guess shouldn't surprise me. He's from Europe, you know, I mean, where they train guys, and then of course in college. But you know, has a 7-footer that's got a left hand and can play off the dribble a little bit, and his shooting range. You know, you think you'll see that become proficient, and he just needs to get stronger. That's it, and that's the way it works. You know, young guys, whoever comes to the league, just about it takes a little while, but. I think there's a real player there.
Would you have a nickname for him if you were doing the game's French Connection? I don't know. Would you?
Well, that's too easy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's just it was off the top of my head. I hadn't really thought about it.
I'd gonna say I'd have to think on that. You know, you got to do better by the guy than that, I think.
You're lazy, Whitey. That was lazy.
Well,
that was beneath Whitey, wasn't it? You know.
We're just disappointing you.
To be beneath Whitey, but that could be.
Man, everybody's taking shots.
I know, man. Legend, we're 23 games in. If I'm not mistaken, you're 5-17. Yeah, we're 23 games in. As someone that's been around the game, I love asking you hypotheticals. At this moment, when you're 5-17 and your experiences, unfortunately, you've been around that as far as record at 23 to 25 games in, what are you beginning to do as far as in the front office?
Well, I think they have to be looking at trying to move players. Obviously, look at your roster and who do you feel like you could go forward with in the future, and that means, you know, probably guys under 30. You know, and then I think for anybody, and then you add to that guys you just don't feel would fit regardless. But I think clearly when you're an older team, and we've talked about this before, when you're an older team, you must win. You know, there's, I mean, if you can't, then there's no reason to be to have older guys.
Yeah.
And I mean that's kind of why you want older guys, is to have the veterans. You know, the older teams, generally speaking, those are teams that are competitors for the championships. Not always, of course, but anyway, that it's a case where if you're in the front office now, and I'm sure they're doing it. I mean, they're certainly looking at the opportunities of trades, anything they can do to change the roster, because as I've noticed, and I think a couple other fans have, that it really doesn't seem to be working well.
Not that well, no. Jerry, I wanted to ask you another Maxime Reynolds question. As you call him, the French Connection, with the way he makes the threes. We don't know what's going to happen with Domas. Maybe Domas is going to be here a while, maybe not. But if he is, theoretically, could Maxime Reynolds, who did show some range in college, could he be one of those bigs that could play with Domas, do you think?
absolutely. I think you could put the French Connection right in there with Domas.
Yeah.
And I think that would be his position. I think eventually he should be a stretch four.
Ah.
A little bit, like the Sante Aldama type guy or Jaren Jackson. I mean, I think he could belong in there somewhere because he really is comfortable facing the basket, and he and Domas, I think, would be a great fit. In fact, I kind of hope that Coach Christie would just go ahead and, while Domas is out, put him in a starting lineup. I mean, Drew Eubanks is, he's an NBA player, but he's a backup.
Yep.
So why not, let him stay in the role he really fits.
Right.
Joined by the legendary Jerry Reynolds. When it comes to, we all talk about minutes. It's just under the microscope so much, especially around a losing team. But I want to get your perception on Devin Carter. Have you been through an experience where 1 year removed and a guy not even really playing that much is not getting any opportunity?
I thought about that. It's a good question. I really can't recall a situation where basically a lottery pick, in his second full year, or really just a second year, and didn't play much last year, has just not gotten an opportunity to play.
Yeah.
And, I hope I hope he gets his chance. I mean, I just think, boy, you got to have patience with, especially, young player guards in particular. We saw what happened with Davion, and they gave up on him too soon.
Yeah.
And I've always said that's that patience is a virtue, but that's why Bobby Jackson was available when he was, because teams, there were teams that gave up on him too quick. And I think there's a player there. I don't think he's a point guard, but I think he's a player because I think he can really defend.
How about go ahead. I'm sorry, Jerry.
Yeah, I just think his what little I've seen. I mean, I think his defense and rebounding for a guard have a chance to be really good. And so last time I checked, this team doesn't rebound much and doesn't defend much.
Not much. Yeah, it's curiouser and curiouser. Precious Achiuwa, do you think he's a player, or does he, and I'm not trying to be snide, does he just kind of look like one on this roster?
I think he's got a chance to be one. He certainly looks like one on this roster.
Yeah.
And that's also really part of it. There's just such a need for anybody that's over 6'5", but he's a guy. He's played meaningful games. With playoff caliber teams in New York and Miami. Now they chose not to keep him. I think partly they've got better players would be ahead of him, but I do think he certainly looks like to me he's a keeper. And I think there's a good pickup. To me it's a kind of a different version of LaRavia last year, which was a terrific pickup. Just couldn't keep him or didn't keep him. I wouldn't say couldn't, but didn't.
Man, that's interesting. I hadn't even thought about that. That's why you're the legend right there. Kind of a bird's eye view, legend, and I'm sorry for springing this on you if you don't have the best answer, but I know you're the legend, so I know you're going to be able to knock it down as I lob it up to you. One takeaway so far for the Sacramento Kings team, is it do you have just one thing that you have consistently gone back to in that great mind of yours and said, this right here is the issue, or this is what I like, this is what I don't like? Has there been one major takeaway so far for you?
Well, the one thing I just consistently haven't liked is the defense. Basically half court, full court, however, they just simply haven't been able to make it tough consistently. Now, we've seen stretches, a quarter here, a quarter there, a half here, but overall, it just hasn't been good enough. And I think it's, and I think, quite honestly, I'm not surprised because, and certainly I don't blame the coach because you've got older guys who have never been good defenders.
Right.
You know, I've learned over the years that, boy, when guys get into their 30s, they don't all of a sudden change.
Yeah.
They've chose their lane. They are who they are, and they've had success being how they are, and so that's the issue. Not, you know, it's defensively they just can't really compete consistently, you know, as opposed to, you know, like Houston the other night. Yeah, you know, they can really guard you. They were sloppy with the ball, couldn't make shots, but at some point, you know, they can guard you well enough to stay in the game and eventually maybe make some shots and quit being sloppy with the ball. But the Kings don't have that luxury. You know, they have to score 130 to win, and boy, that's tough.
It is. And I hate to do this, but Coach, I'm going to bring you back down to earth a little bit because Jay, and we love Jay, but Jay always calls you legend. Just so you know, when you're not here, that's what he calls me. So, and I'm not. The point is, I think he calls anybody that.
Well, you know, but I'll be honest with you, that's the highest thing he could say to me, as calling you legend and me legend. And now if he calls Kyle legend, and that's
you know I'm lying.
We're going to have to reevaluate things significantly.
Hey, what about our buddy Keegan Murray? The last two games, you know, he hasn't gotten many shots up, and it looked like when he came back, okay, he's more a focal point of the offense, which I think is a really good thing. Last couple of games, I've been a little bothered, a little concerned by that, Jerry.
Well, I thought the last game, you know, I was on, we talked to somebody else, and we were talking about that, and I said, to me, it looked like, just simply put, he was guarded. Houston could guard him. You know, they have guys like him, several, in fact, and because he was trying to be aggressive, and I thought really maybe forced some issues a little bit. So, I wouldn't make too much of it. I think overall he's, you know, when you look at his rebounding and steals and blocks and things, in addition to his overall scoring, considering coming off injury, I think he's really on the right track. You know, I just would love to see him, you know, really, I'd love to see a Chua and himself and Reynolds kind of out there together a little bit, just to see some size and athleticism. You know, might be a fun watch.
Yeah, and Jay and I were saying yesterday in that game, in addition to being hounded when he had the ball, Keegan was guarding Jabari Smith, and he was guarding Şengün, and he was guarding Olajuwon, and he was guarding Elvin Hayes, and he was guarding Sampson. He was guarding all of them.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's and the guy. I mean, he's just a remarkable defender. I really think he makes it tough on just about everybody, and of course that leads to foul trouble a little bit. In addition, but yeah, I think, you know, I guess I'd sum it up. Keegan's the least of the Kings' problems.
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% icon. I'll call you icon.
You can
there
still
we go.
call him
No.
Yeah. How about just old fart? That'll work.
Legend, when you look at Keegan's, I guess, you know, his progress so far in the league, I truly believe he has all the attributes to be an all-star. Superstar? Maybe not, but an all-star. At this point of his career, I think we still see that there may be a little more progression. At what point in time does a person like yourself, who's been a general manager and a coach and, you know, been in the front office, all kind of different angles, say, well, that's just who that person is?
Yeah, probably after 5 years, I don't think you really see too many surprises. You know, I mean, even some kind of late developers into stardom, you know, the Nashes or the Currys. I mean, at third or fourth year, you kind of knew how that was going to, you know, you knew. You didn't know still that to what level maybe. But I think with Keegan, to me, he and Jabari Smith are there's a lot of similarities, not just in where they were drafted, but they're still finding their way a little bit. And Jabari has been held back a little bit more in some ways because he's playing with more talent. And I think with Keegan, he's been held back because they haven't been able to figure out how to use this talent. But I think they're both all-star level talents. In other words, if they both are working hard, and I think they are, and especially Keegan, good attitude, and stays with his aggressive mentality, that he's an all-star level player, and I think by the end of this year, what you should be able to look at and say, look, statistically he is a better player basically across the board than he was last year. And that's what you have to see. And I think you will.
That said, Jerry, how long did it take before you knew Presley probably wasn't all that? Couple practices, maybe, one?
I think summer league we were able to
able to decipher.
I'm kidding. He's the best. I love Harold. I'm just kidding.
No, Harold's the best.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things to where Harold was a good player. He wasn't as good as you wanted him to be, and he wasn't as good as he wanted to be. But he was smart enough to figure out how to have a career. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely.
And not everybody can do that.
Yeah, true. And as nice a guy as you'll meet. I wanted to ask you, not a question as you, the basketball coach, but as someone who knows Kings fans as well as anybody. It looks like maybe now the Kings are going into this full-on multi-year rebuild. It sure looks like it's headed that way. Your best guess, do you think Kings fans would be able eventually to get on board with that 100%?
That's a great question. I'm not sure. I've heard it both ways. I know just some friends that are season ticket holders are certainly considering not re-upping, and then others, want to be optimistic, and if they can see young guys and a different team and all that they love the game enough and the league enough that wouldn't make too much difference. So, I don't think there's any doubt it will affect fandom to some degree, and I mean, there's no doubt too. I mean, I think most of us that have eyes and ears know that it's a pretty negative situation right now, and but I think the key is what can be done, that gives Kings fans hope that it won't be too long a process, and that's my concern. Just as a fan, it's like, everybody would want to believe, you can turn this thing in 2 or 3 years. Well, I mean, Washington's still trying to turn at about 10 years now.
Charlotte, yeah.
And and Utah's in their 4th year, and still not, there. Portland's in about year 5. Even San Antonio, this is about the 6th year for them, and they haven't played a playoff game yet. Certainly, it looks like they're there when healthy, but still, until they do, they haven't.
Yeah, definitely agree. Jerry, what's your thoughts on Chris Paul's situation with the Clippers?
I don't. I mean, it's one of those things to where they were going so bad, and they're older than the Kings, and so knowing a little bit with Chris, and he tends to be a coach on the floor and a coach off the floor and a coach on the bus, and probably at this stage of his career, they really didn't feel they needed all that extra coaching.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was a time when Chris not only could do that extra coaching, but he could back every bit of it up.
Yeah.
And it's the old thing, the old. So I think he's done. He's an acquired taste. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But he's one of the all-time greats, and at his best, he made teams better. And at this stage of his career, he really doesn't.
Well, I know that that Jay's going to ask you is a turn back the clock question, but before he does, you, I believe, said on this show, I know you said it on the Kings Herald, you made a prediction that months ago, that the Spurs would end up trading someone, maybe De'Aaron, for Giannis. You think that's looming now? That looks like a distinct possibility, right, Jay?
I think it is. I mean, and people would say, well, they wouldn't trade Fox, they'd trade Castle or Harper. And I said, no, I don't think they would do that. I mean, and number one is Milwaukee. It'd have to be a cap figure that works.
Yeah.
And to me, trading Fox and, say, Jeremy Sochan would be the logical trade there. It would kind kind of match up, I think, financially. And if you're Milwaukee, maybe picks involved too. But if you're Milwaukee, you're getting a young star in Fox, a reasonably young star, proven star type, and then another young player, wing, a big wing, and so it would give you your jump start, and then maybe extra picks, and then if you're San Antonio, well, you don't need Sochan because you got Antetokounmpo and Wemby, and then you got these young guards, Castles, Harper, and Vassell.
Man,
I mean, I think you can go down the road with that team.
I think that's a playoff team, Jerry.
Yeah.
I think they win a playoff game or two. I know this: if I'm Denver and Oklahoma City, I would be praying that move is not made. That New York Knicks or somebody would buckle up and figure out a way to get him. But like I say, it just seems to me like there's some real logic to that, which is always why it probably won't happen.
Right.
Yeah, too easy.
It's very logical.
Yeah, too easy. Anything that makes sense in the NBA never goes through, right?
Yeah.
Almost never, Jay. That's why I'm an icon, Jay.
That's right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
My question, I had an opportunity to work with my guy Robert Allen, a.k.a. Bob McAdoo. When he was over with the Miami Heat for a little bit of time, he was one of our guests weekly on a national network. And I was, how this came about, but last week, I think when I was off, I was sitting here looking and just going down the rabbit hole, had no clue that my boy Bob went to a junior college in Vincennes. Am I saying that correct?
No, you're not.
Okay.
It's Vincennes.
Vincennes
University Junior College in Vincennes, Indiana.
Okay. So he goes there, and then he goes to North Carolina, which is where he's from, born in North Carolina.
Yep, Greensboro.
Idea of Bob McAdoo, but how in the heck did he go from Carolina to Indiana? Do you have an answer for me?
Well, I can tell you this much. I spent, I don't know how many weeks down there in Greensboro and hanging around his house. And I'm trying to remember this guy's name. It was a state senator in North Carolina, but there was rumors at that time that Mac was going to go to Gardner-Webb.
Okay.
Had just become a 4-year school, and they're going to do a little under the thing, and the senator and his mother was a teacher, and dad is a carpenter. They're quite. Mac would tell you he came in the ghetto, but he never really saw one. Really, had a wonderful home and family and everything. Anyway, and so at any rate, we found out that Wake Forest was really interesting, and they got the senator involved, and they got me involved. A guy by the name of Billy Packer was assistant coach at Wake Forest. And so I got, so Billy was going to help me get him to Vincennes, and then, of course, get him back later. At that time, the ACC had more strict academic requirements, and so during those years, a lot of the great players were in junior college. I mean, Artis Gilmore and Nate Archibald, Spencer Haywood, Freddie Brown. I mean, it was big time. There were NBA players about all the top junior colleges at that time, and we had several. Foots Walker, and it was with us at that time. But anyway, so yeah, I just spent a lot of time down there, and really I think it made sense for Mac. I'll tell you one story, and he might tell you this. But on his recruiting trip, the governor of Indiana was in Vincennes.
I love this story.
On an educational thing. And so I found out about that, and I asked him if he'd, had a few minutes. We had a wonderful prospect we was trying to recruit out of North Carolina, whatever. And could he spend some time with him, and he was happy to and everything. And so, well, he did. And Mac really impressed because Mac told me, he said, wow, I said, I've never even met the governor of North Carolina, and here the governor of Indiana came down to see me. Of course, I didn't tell him that part. That
He was already there.
He's already there, but I mean, it didn't. So anyway, that was so Mac, he was.
I love that story.
Yeah,
Dude, that is crazy. I'm literally, for whatever reason, I'm literally looking at Bob's, and I'm like, wait, I've seen that name before. That junior college.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do I know that?
well,
I see Jerry. I'm like, my
icon,
goodness,
the
come
legend.
on, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they've did pretty well since I left too, but not as good. But they, Sean Marion played there. Ricky Green was an all-star.
Okay.
Carl Landry.
Dang.
Love Carl Landry.
I mean, I know we had my last year there. I know we had 8 guys that eventually were drafted. Now, not that many made it. Off that team, they all went different. Western Kentucky, Louisville, wherever type thing. But and I took a couple of them with me to West Georgia when I went down there, college division, and Footsie Walker was the best, and he played 10, 12 years in the league, and but anyway, so
amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of incident stories I could tell you, but Mac was he was. People always say it's kind of like with Bird. Did you know he's going to be that good? No, I didn't. I knew he's awfully darn good, and he had he had that special thing. I always say the great ones have total confidence. I mean, Mac. I always remember early in his career, I got on to he was like 2 for 11 or 12 in the first half, and he said, "Well." I'll probably make the next 11. Give me the ball. And I always remember one story with Foots when he was playing the point guard. He came over once. He said, "Coach," he said, "every time we come down the floor, Mac is begging for the ball." I said, "Foots, you're the point guard, aren't you?" He said, "Yeah." Well, tell him to go to hell. Now I said, "Foots, if it gets close, get him the ball." And Foots, I remember old Foots said, "Oh, I think I got it now." I said, "Yeah. You make sure all those other guys are happy till it's really important, and make sure."
Man, when the game's on the line,
game's on the line. Make sure you know where Mac is.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Coach. We appreciate it so much. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Well, it's always my weekend will be better just talking to you two guys and getting to know that me and you are both icons or legends or whatever.
Thank you, Jerry.
See you guys.
All right. When we come back, could the Kings' next opponent be in position to land Giannis? And we'll review our conversation with Mr. Reynolds next on Sactown Sports.
Download the Sactown Sports app.
Sacramento sports in your pocket.